Well, hello, you sexy foxes. We have not had a Cancel Me Baby episode in 2 weeks. And I haven't shot in 3 weeks. But alas, I am emerging on your Spotify, on your feed, on your IGTV, on your REM cycle. I'm here emerging like Steve from Blue's Clues did. If anybody has seen this video, coming out of the archives. Yes. And today I'm coming because I'm asking you a very specific question. And that is, when on God's green earth did causes that celebrities and Hollywood support straight up become trends? Straight up. Like, I'm not talking bell bottoms. I'm not talking taxi cab hats. I'm not talking oversized belts. Yes, I'm talking to you 2000s. It's suddenly become, this human rights thing or that human rights thing, literally our trends. Since when? Since when? How did we let this happen under our watch? No, I need to know, but we're going to talk about it today because, sweethearts, I've had a few, when I sat down to do this okay, I can't even talk. See, I'm a little rusty, but that's okay. We're along for the ride. I didn't really have a cohesive, this happened and I need to talk about it, right? I've had a few things kind of like swirling around in my mind. And I figure what better way? And I actually figured out a way to tie it all together, to wrap it in a bow, to bring to the mailman who we can then call Blue's Clues. Mail time. Oh, what a time to be alive. Okay. So these causes that celebrities trend. It's really who would have thought? Who would have thought a cause, an advocate campaign, humanitarian philanthropy would somehow be a goddamn trend? Leave it to us on this burning dumpster fire place, which I don't even know if this is real anymore. Like, straight up, I am Keanu, you are the Matrix, and this is how it rolls. But here's the thing. A lot of the times too, what I'm noticing with these causes is they are either totally contradictory of things that celebrities in Hollywood and mainstream do or do not support, or hypocritical. And it just doesn't make sense like anything else in 2021. I saw the funniest meme, guys, and it said that it was like, shout out to the dyslexic Mayan who wrote down 2012 instead of 2021. Like, he is laughing, he or she or they are laughing at us, rolling in their grave, having the time of their lives, and we are just sitting here suffering. Okay. So the first thing, and I've left little breadcrumbs of this topic through my last few apps, through IG stories, AKA Mark Zuckerberg's torture chamber from hell. And we're going to dive into it a little more today. It isn't the most, cheery yippee-ki-yay topic, but nonetheless, it's been on my mind. And so ever thine, ever mine, ever yours, till death do us part. Let's do this. Okay. What's mine is yours. So we're going to share thoughts today. That one person who wrote on my Apple reviews, remember? And he said I was unhinged. They ain't wrong. They're onto something. Okay. So here's an example. Okay. And this is going to ruffle some feathers. By the way, this whole ep is going to ruffle feathers on both sides. So get a grip, get a hold of your panties. Too bad. So it needs to be said. Okay. So here's an example, which again, I'm like, these should pretty much go hand in hand. Okay. The US military, with everything that's going on in Afghanistan, celebrities, I posted this to my IG. Celebrities are the first in line, and they are thirsty to talk about any cause under the sun, apparently. Crickets about the 13 kids who were killed in Afghanistan. Crickets. Now, there are many theories for this, of course. Number one, the biggest, most obvious, right, is it goes against their political agenda, which this, sadly, like all the topics I'm talking about today, should not even be about politics. This is about human goddamn rights, which you all supposedly want. but we aren't hearing anything from them. I don't know if their cell towers went out. I don't know if their maids hijacked their cell phone in a pursuit of their own happiness all at once. I don't know, like pulled a Handmaid's Tale. Their Marthas stole their phones, stole their tablets, and ran away. I don't know. But I do know none of them are talking about this, and it's very odd. Now, I've talked about this on my IG story a little bit, but I'm just going to give a little background from my vantage point and where I'm coming from this. Okay, truth be told, I was never super invested in the US military. I always had an appreciation. I have a grandpa who was a vet and served in the Korean War. And I know he's told me, even as of late, how much it shaped his entire life and who he is as a man, right? And he's so proud. He has so many US vets hats and just loves this country. So that's part of it. So I always had an appreciation, but I never really was educated or invested until recently. Admittedly, I'm going to say, I'm not pretending to be an expert in all areas, but I realized how important it was to me because I have dedicated my entire career as a journalist, as a writer, doing this show to freedom, right? Freedom of thought, freedom of expression, freedom to live your life however you want. And I truly realized that these often kids sacrifice and put their lives on the line so that we can be the freest country and we can live the American dream. Literally, I will jerk off to the American dream. You all know nothing is more important to me than speaking my mind, being an entrepreneur, and fighting for the life of my dreams. Again, like I've said, that isn't afforded in other countries, which is why so many people want to come here. And for those of you who listen to my show, you know, my mom immigrated here from Italy, right? And she's living her own American dream. So it's really important to me. And seeing these kids, I mean, they literally were babies who got killed. They were 20, 22, 23, killed. One of them was expecting a child, I think, in less than a month. It's horrible. And they do that. They sacrifice literally themselves so that we can pursue and live the life of our dreams. And I also want to say this too. Could you imagine? We have become so spoiled and entitled. I cry and go into full-blown cardiac arrest at the thought of having a flat tire. But could you imagine the absolute horror of being on the front lines, especially in Afghanistan, like literally being there and seeing it all happen and unfold and the uncertainty of that? I remember one time I was in Israel on Birthright and we heard bombs going off and they were like, oh yeah, those are over in Syria. And it was like, I knew we were totally safe. We were totally protected. I couldn't even see them. And it was the scariest thing of all time. Could you imagine, just put yourself in that position out of any kind of privilege, even like being in your cozy bed at night and watching Friends, which I'm oddly enough going to get to in a little bit, but just imagine putting yourself in that position. So to me, the celebrities' silence on this issue is horrifying because they are the epitome of the American dream. They're creative, right? A lot of them have other businesses and endeavors and all these kinds of things they do on the side. I'm talking to you. I think The Rock with his new alcohol, like Ciroc 2.0, cannot be duplicated. You know, what is it? Can be imitated, never replicated. Yeah, try again. Do you guys remember Ciroc? I had a conversation about this the other day. Like, what a time. Anyway, P. Diddy talking to you. So they are the epitome of this, right? They have millions and millions of dollars for doing fun, creative jobs that they love, have nice ass mansions, can hire aforementioned maids. And these people die so that they have the luxury of doing that. And that's why them not talking about this is really sad. There's also the sidebar of you here, and I talked about this on a podcast I shot yesterday. So if it's a little repetitive, sweetheart, deal with it. I was a guest on someone's show, someone special, you will see. But I talk a little about this, and it's ironic too. This is what I mean about the causes that they support, like not even making sense, because they all day long, we hear them, even though Me Too, again, how the Mayans missed the crumbling of Me Too, I'll never know. They missed that one straight up. That one went above their radar. But they are all about women's equality and women getting paid the same and women getting treated right, all these things, which absolutely, you know, justifiably so. But again, it's like, why are you silent when there are millions of women over there who, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. And I've sugarcoated it up until this point by saying things like they won't get an education, even things like being, you know, forced into sex slavery as young as 12, not being able to show their face. Well, guess what? Also being, you know, brutalized, killed, raped out in the streets. So again, it's like, and they're just left there. Like, too bad. Sorry. So it doesn't add up. Like, how are you guys going to do it in some ways and not in others? Do you know, you catch my drift? You catch my drift on this? Okay. So that's how I'm feeling about all of that. And it also, like, this whole experience has really shed light for me on, it's the Mayans calling. Sorry. This whole experience has also really shed light on the athletes and the people who would kneel during the national anthem, right? For Black Lives Matter, which I'm going to get into in a minute. Now, to me, again, I said this on the show I was on recently. So again, sorry for the repetitiveness. You know, you now have amnesia, so you didn't remember. But I'm never going to say, I'm all about, again, freedom to express yourself however you want. I'm never going to say they can't do that. You can't do that. But I will say this whole thing has really showed me how disrespectful it is, because again, these people are dying so that you can play a sport, hit the court. I didn't mean for that to rhyme. And, you know, again, make a ton of money and be influential and rich and live a dream life. So to me, it's kind of like, it's really disrespectful. I'm really noticing and realizing that now. Now, with that said, because I know that is very controversial, hot take. And yes, I'm acknowledging I'm a white girl talking about this, of course. But this brings me now to BLM, right? Because here's where both things can be true. Now, unlike support for our military, I think I saw a few, like I saw Jesse James Decker post about it and things like that. Very few and far between. We saw every celebrity under the sun post a black square for Black Lives Matter. So again, like trendy versus not trendy, which is so sad. Again, these causes should all be supported across the board. And here's the thing. Again, just like with the military, the cause behind BLM is equally as justified. Okay. Seeing Black people getting killed in broad daylight in the street for no reason is horrifying that would happen here. And even things like resources and opportunity and the disadvantages that they have. Right. But again, both things can be true at the same time. So to me, it's like, well, shouldn't they go hand in hand? Shouldn't we be supporting a military, right, that protects this country in which people like Oprah, Beyonce, Obama, Rihanna can be some of the richest and most influential and powerful people in the world? Now, that's not to say that there aren't issues. There aren't systemic racism issues. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it's all butterflies and rainbows. And there are certainly things in that arena that we have all witnessed that obviously need to be improved on and addressed. It's not perfect, as I've said. But why is it that we can't fight for both? And this is the common thread of BLM, of the military, right? Is our freedom. History class, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Remember that at the end of the day is what both of these causes theoretically are all about. I can see why someone would be outraged, outright outraged at the death of these young kids in the military who are protecting us. But I could also see the outrage of someone, say like an athlete kneeling, feeling like their country, betrayed them and or their people. But my question is, why can't we even step outside our boxes to be equally outraged at both? It seems like everything has to be either or. It has to be one or the other. Why is it, again, trendy with one, all we're seeing, and crickets on the other? And again, it's like I posted a meme yesterday that celebrities love virtue signaling when it's convenient to them. And it's like I've talked about it before, but the whole black square thing, I actually never even did that because I'm like, what is that actually doing? I just don't feel like it holds weight or means anything. So I felt like I wanted to do my part in a way that I actually thought would help me understand, like have conversations with Black friends and look up different resources, not post some phony black square. I just don't understand what that's doing. And again, it's like, we saw it. It was an avalanche. We saw it everywhere. Again, trendy. And with this, nothing. So it's just unfortunate because it should go hand in hand. In theory, we should be rooting for both of these issues. It's just sad. So another one, DJ Khaled style, is my body, my choice. This is more of my expertise, okay? So this is something I've been thinking about because this is where I'm just like, both sides are just literally off their rockers. Like, they don't see how they are both hypocritical, and it's insane to me. It's insane. And it goes for the ones I was just talking about too. Like, you see the right getting all uptight, being like, oh, BLM this, BLM that. Oh, they rioted and destroyed stuff, which I don't agree with. I don't think the looting and all of that was okay, right? But they're fighting for Black people to be treated equal and have respect and be free and not get killed in the street in broad daylight, right? But then in the same breath, they're like, why isn't anybody supporting the military? Which again, the military is to be protecting what I just said. So it's like, how do you not see this? Okay. So it goes for my body, my choice too. Now, this is a huge thing right now because of the law that has just been passed in Texas, which effectively says that if you are 6 weeks pregnant and about 6 weeks pregnant and they can detect a heartbeat, regardless of, I think they just removed rape, but incest, it doesn't matter. You can't have an abortion. Okay. So this is where both sides are out of their minds, because I firmly believe if you're going to be about something, then be about it, honey. Now, for me, I consider myself somewhat of a libertarian, I guess. I put this on my story yesterday and I said something that's fun for me is that I feel like you guys listening always say I can't really quite tell where you are politically. That's because I think both sides are bogus. Okay. I just feel like buzz off, like get out of my business and just let me live my life. Like, go do something else with your time. Like, leave me alone. Right. So for me, I'm consistent. I'm pro-choice. I think you should be able to make that decision for your body. Right. And when it comes to the vaccine, I feel the same way. I do not believe that we should be mandating vaccines to function in society, to go to school, to go to work, to play the flute on a park bench if you want. Hell, I don't care. But the bottom line for me is, don't tell me what to do with my body, period. Now, neither of these sides can seem to wrap their head around this because they literally both look like morons, okay? Because you have the left, who is literally like, mandate this, mandate that. And rightfully so, though, they are having a conniption over this Texas law with tweeting things. What is it? Bans off our bodies. And I'm like, you realize this doesn't make sense, you guys. Hello, cuckoo bird, anybody home? How are you going to be over here forcing people to do things with their bodies in one way, but then getting all up in arms when they don't have a choice another way? And this goes for the right too. If I see people on the right all the time stomping their little feet, hooting and hollering. Again, rightfully so, because they don't want to be forced to take this fairly new experimental vaccine. Okay. Can't blame them. But at the same time, they're over here pro-life. You can't decide if you should get an abortion or not. How the hell does this make any sense? Like I said, this is the Matrix. This is a big VR experience, and I want my refund. I want my ticket back. I don't care. I would rather be immersed in the Van Gogh experience on ecstasy and acid for hours. This doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, so this is where both sides just miss the mark, get it wrong. I saw this one conservative guy, and he posted a meme. I actually reposted it to my story, and they were these people at a rally, and it said, one girl said, like, I'm not vaccinated. The other girl said, I'm vaccinated, and they were holding hands. And he wrote in his caption, like, this is what scares big pharma and big tech, like people coming together. So I'm like, oh, okay, right, makes sense. So someone in the comments wrote, oh, okay, so you're pro-choice. And he was like, yes, I do think a fetus should decide if they should live or not. Like something. So I was just literally like, this is stupidity. Okay. How they don't see the holes but their arguments is insane to me. Now, they need to be consistent, be about it. If you're going to be all about people not moseying in your body, knowing your medical records and having your privacy, then be about it. Period. It's like, these are complicated issues, but they're also not. They're not. Either you want people meddling in your body and your choices, or you don't. I don't understand. Again, libertarian, back off. Okay. So before I get into this part with celebs, I want to play this fun video with you. It's not directly related to my body, my choice, or, abortion, but I covered the Women's March in LA a couple of years ago. So, that's like the ultimate, like the epicenter of the pussy hats, the my body, my choice. Like even that, like the pussy hat thing was a little too much for me. And I'm the most like pussy go getting girl, you will meet. Okay. But nonetheless, I interviewed celebrities there. And my question for them was, we all say like power of the pussy. So what's the power of your pussy? Now, I'm not talking in the explicit way, perhaps, of like the WAP, which gives so many people a collective heart attack, why, I don't know, loosen up like a WAP. Why don't you? I should tell that to my own, which is funny. But anyway, so here is, I just wanted to share this with you because I just thought it was a fun segue into the my body, my choice and the power of the puss thing. But here is Rachel Platten, who sings the song, Fight Song. She sings other things you would hear on Top 40. And I really love what she said, because she's like, it is a creative expression of my soul. And we just had a fun time, and she had a really fun answer, just owning it. Because I feel like we don't see women, except for like WAP, right? We don't see women really owning it in this way. So have a look, have a good time, take a dive.
Hug me for some warmth and support. And hi. Okay, we're at the Women's March today. Is all about the power of the pussy. Am I right?
Yes, it
so
is.
Rachel, I want you. Thank you. So I want you to look in the camera and say, "My pussy is powerful," because you tell these guys a little tidbit with your hubby that you told me once we wrap the video.
My pussy is powerful because my husband enjoys it.
Dude, but it's true, and that's why I asked, because I feel like
is that okay?
I love you.
I felt embarrassed.
No, Rachel. That's why I asked this question, because I feel like the pussy and the mind, they're related, and it's persuasion, it's power, it's like you have to earn this, and you have to. Right. This is power.
And
both.
treasure and respect it.
Dude, exactly. That's what I asked. It's like one and the same.
I love it.
So like combining the two is just like, ka-ching,
Fuck yes. My pussy is powerful because it writes fucking songs that resonate with millions of people, and it speaks my heart, and I can't go on without being gross.
Love it. Thank you, love. You killed it.
Thank you.
Okay, so that to me just celebrates the woman parts and being able to do what the H you want with them. Okay. So here are where the celebrities, though, they don't make sense to me, because a lot of them are, talking about my body, my choice, back off, but in the same breath, not explicitly telling people like you have to get a vaccine to function, but kind of. Okay. So example number one is Eva Longoria, who I have met a few times. I'll pop a pic up here that I have to find in the dusty ass archives of my basement because it's so funny like talking about it now just in hindsight, because first meeting her, I wouldn't have known. I would have ended up meeting her a lot of times, but I was like, Ava, can I get a picture with you? And so here's the proof. The proof is in the pudding, sweetheart. So the pudding made on Wisteria Lane. So, okay. Here's an example. Ava tweeted, "It's pretty simple. We should all be able to make decisions about our health and our future." Okay. This is coming from the same woman though, who did a video with Obama addressing vax hesitancy. And she's totally entitled to that. But my issue is, again, how are you not going to see that they contradict one another? And I'm never going to, again, say you can't say this or you should shut up. And honestly, even though, sidebar, Eva Longoria she was the face of Me Too in Time's Up pretty much and stepped down. Because who knows, that tells me one thing, that like the other chairs, co-chairs, founder, all these people were really into some corrupt and shady motivations and shiz that weren't really about protecting women and their pay grade and getting harassed in Hollywood, but had other motivations, if you know what I mean. Anyway, I'm not going to fault her. She stands by what she stands by, and that's fine. And if she wants to be vocal about stuff, then that's great. Like, more power to you, but be consistent. Okay. Here's another one. Reese Witherspoon. She tweeted, "Bans off our bodies." And she said, "I stand with the women of Texas who have the constitutional right to make decisions about their health and their own body." And this is another one, like all proud virtue signaling, on IG said, "I finally can enjoy my summer because I'm vaccinated." And it was picked up by a million outlets, etc. And I hate calling out Reese Witherspoon because I have met her. As you guys know, I interviewed her, and she is really a cupcake. She's like those little funfetti cupcakes, like Brownie Bites, that brand that you just want to like take in your pocket. Like, she's a little ray of sunshine. So I hate to call her out on this front, like Ava Longoria. Like, these are smart, competent women, but I just wish that they would address the holes or be consistent again in their arguments. Okay. But perhaps the one that is the most potent is Jennifer Aniston. Okay. So Jennifer Aniston in 2019, they were doing a shoot for that movie with Adam Sandler. What is it? Murder Mystery. And it was shooting in Georgia. And at the time, I think there were similar abortion laws going on in Georgia. And she had wholeheartedly vocalized publicly her support for production pulling out of Georgia in boycott. So saying, absolutely, this is the way to do it. AKA, we should be able to decide pro-choice if I want to get an abortion and make decisions for my own body, right? This is coming, though, from the same woman. And look, I love Friends as much as the next gal, okay? I will probably watch it on repeat tonight like every other night until I'm drooling on myself, okay? To escape all of this wretched, batshit craziness that I'm talking about. But this is coming from the same woman who recently said I lost a few people in my weekly routine who refused or did not disclose whether they'd been vaccinated. And it's unfortunate. She said, "It's your moral and professional obligation to inform." So it's like, okay, by that logic, it's someone's obligation to tell you whether or not you can't get an abortion. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. And then she said, "Everyone is entitled to their opinion, but a lot of opinions don't feel based in anything except fear or propaganda." Now, this is what's interesting, because this is where I wish people and celebrities would step outside their little boxes, because guess what, bitch? The other side can say the same goddamn thing about you. You could say, "Oh, people on the right or whoever don't want to get vaccinated," which I'm actually going to get to in a second, because your brains would be blown at how many people in Hollywood don't want to. But you could say anyone who isn't getting vaccinated has this fear that it'll do something to you, or that it's evil, or that it's bad. Well, guess what? The other side can turn around, and I've heard it, and say that you're being fear-mongered into getting this and masking and living in a bubble, boy, and doing all that kind of shit too, because you're so afraid. And they could argue this thing, while it's horrible and while it's destroyed our lives, has what, a 97% survival rate? something like that. So it goes on both sides is my point. They could say the same ass shit about you. Now, while we're on this, I want to talk about, like, this is why this is so rich. Coming from people who are all about choosing what's right for their bodies. Okay. Because I want to give you a little behind the scenes of what is actually going on right now in Hollywood in terms of COVID and mandates and vaccine mandates. And again, why isn't anyone speaking up about this in Hollywood if you guys are all for autonomy, except the people who are, like Rob Schneider, whoever, they're labeled as crazy. And that's thanks to BuzzFeed. Yeah, BuzzFeed, I'm talking to you. I read your article on this. Okay. So here's an interesting little tidbit. I get a newsletter from this man who used to be a lawyer, and I think he worked for the Hollywood Reporter, and he gives some tea. Okay. And here's some stuff he says in his one of his new newsletters. He actually made a funny comment. Now, I've thought this about celebs for a long time because you know those effers are hippy dippy as shit. They're going to creation. They're getting their green juice. They're doing hot yoga. Do you think for a second that all of these people are waiting in line patiently to get a vaccine? I don't think so. Okay. I know even you aren't that naive. Now, he said, kind of in this vein, a funny line in his letter, and he said, I've heard from a few agents that several clients are just, quote, super protective of their bodies. And then he says, and thus don't want the vaccine. And he says in parentheses, anyone who's eaten in a restaurant with an actor can understand. So that was pretty funny, but that's what I mean. Where are they? Okay. Again, be about it. So here's some things that are really going on. Netflix and Amazon adopted vaccine mandates. Producers can now ask about vaccine status before offering a job, and most new shoots seem to be requiring vaccines. Many productions require badges that indicate if someone is vaccinated. How creepy and Hunger Gamesy. Like, and this is coming from someone who's vaccinated. That's a hard pass, okay? And then they said that some insider, this is especially creepy and dystopian. Some insiders suggested that actors who refuse to get vaccinated and still go to the production, say they're the lead on a popular show and the studio can't afford to lose them, that they should have to pay for any shutdown costs. Let's also keep in mind, and I'm not downplaying COVID, but these studios and these productions literally shut down. And by the way, they're spending millions and millions of dollars to do these shutdowns, to do all this, literally at the sight of someone sneezing. Like, it's a little extreme. It's a little extreme. So all I ask is, where is the consistency? Where is it when it comes to my body, my choice, and abortion? You guys are all about medical choices, autonomy, privacy. So where the hell is this when it comes to vaccine mandates? Be consistent. Be consistent. Now, to tie all of this up, okay? To tie all this up, all roads lead to and from a loss. Yes, Miss Britney Spears. Now, we're also learning, while all this shitstorm is going on, that Britney's dad, now that he's been axed of this conservatorship, is pledging or protesting or something with the P, petitioning, okay, thesaurus vibes, for her conservatorship to end. And people from I saw this dude from Barstool Sports be like, a loss. Like, this is the issue that everyone can seem to get behind. And they're so excited, right? Because we're watching in front of our eyes someone's human rights be violated and life be destroyed. And I think that's why so many people are rallying behind it, because it's so sad to watch. And it's trendy for everyone, back to the trends, right? And it really got me thinking that, like a lot of these issues I laid out today, both sides in some way want the same thing, or they want the same thing, but they're arguing it in different ways. So really think to yourself, like, do I really want the same thing as this person that I just chewed out on Twitter for no reason? Which, by the way, who the hell has the time for those people? Okay. But it's really something to think about. Do we all really want the same thing? You know, again, the military, BLM, what does it come down to? Personal freedom, right? The decision to get a vaccine or not, or to choose to get an abortion or not, personal freedom. Free Britney, freedom. So all of these issues, I feel like in some way they tie back to that theme. We all kind of want the same thing, guys. Kumbaya effing ya. Okay. And I know that it's fun to kind of like be tribal and be on a team, yay, rah, rah, shish, gamba, and be on a side. But next time you get this is what they want. And I have fallen victim to this. The media loves to rile our asses up and point fingers at the other side when at the end of the day, are we all just a bunch of clowns who in some way, shape, or form want the same thing, and we have more in common, hallelujah, amen, than we actually think. So think about that moving forward, and maybe realizing similarities on the other side, right? And being consistent and being about something should be the new trend. And with that said, I think also a trend of your fall, besides the pumpkin spice latte, should be going onto the Cancel Me Baby support page. Okay, whether it be 99 cents, $9.99, you name it, guys. Really, like we're balling and rolling hard. Okay. The link is in my bio on Instagram. It's on Anchor. As always, the Cancel Me Baby merch site. I always get people who are like, I love the name and I love the concept and that's so cool. Well, represent, bitch. Get a little dad hat, get a little shirt. I don't care if it's for your local flute player on the park bench, like I mentioned earlier. Get some merch. And really, I think actually that is more important of a trend than everything else leading up to in this episode. Okay, and with that said, let's get trendy.